Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I am, as always, your host, Marco Mazzola, and today we have our guest talking about Highlander, all things Highlander. So let's go around the room and say hello to everybody. Hello, Bruno.
Hello, sir.
There you are. And hello, Larry.
Hey.
And we do have Mila on the line, although Mila hasn't seen the Highlander stuff, but I believe Mila's going to ask a lot of good questions.
Yes. I'll just pop in, ask questions every once in a while.
There you go.
Yes.
Sound like Mila in our Boba Fett episode. That's fantastic. We had it for 6 whole minutes.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's do it. Let's get into the Highlander. We're going to talk everything, the movies, the TV show. There were comics. There was a cartoon at one point.
Yep.
There was a lot of stuff behind this. Like, they really sort of took the ball and said, this is kind of popular. Let's run with it.
They rolled with it, yeah.
They did. All right. So, now I'll go a little bit first on this one, which I know I usually don't, but I got introduced to this series through Bruno, actually. You guys watched. You and Delio watched the movie, and you're like, oh, you got to see this movie, and so I did. And the original Highlander movie, and I fell in love with it. Right, it's from '86, starring Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery, the original crew, the original cast. Clancy Brown, who we all know does a million voiceover stuff. He's Krusty the Krab, and he does a million different things these days. But it was, it's a cult classic now. It wasn't a huge box office success or anything like that.
It was a pretty good success. Enough that they said, we made a lot of money here. We need to somehow make some sequels, which turned out not so great.
Not so great. Yeah, we'll get into that too. The first one was
a pretty
great.
Big hit. Yeah.
It was a strong first movie, right? It was a strong first one, and we really should have left it at that.
Yes.
So worldwide gross on the movie was $5 million, almost close to $6 million. Wow. This is again early, the 80s, obviously.
87?
You know what I mean? Yeah. What did I say? 86. 86. Yeah, 86. Rated R, just shy of 2 hours, hour and 56 minutes runtime. So 80s money. The budget was okay. So here's where it didn't do so good. Estimated $16 million, but worldwide gross was $5.9 million. So not exactly what a rousing success.
So
that must have been initially then, right?
Something like yes, exactly in the initial theatrical release.
So within a few years,
this was one of those movies that
the second one came out 91. So they must have picked up steam.
Yes,
and then they said,
So what happened was this was around the time when home movies started becoming more like people you could get access to videotapes, and that's where this movie took off. It was a cult classic because of the videotape market. You could watch this over and over again.
So because of the
I remember that. You know what I mean? And that's what happened. This was around that time.
That's actually probably how I
you could rent movies and you could buy movies at this point, and even they would get some movies out like in a Suncoast Video or whatever, and they didn't cost $90. Like you know what I mean?
Blockbuster,
yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what happened with this movie. It became huge because of that. So and it spawned, like you said, what? How many sequels are there now? Like the original one with Christopher Lambert, there was The Quickening. The second one was the Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Yep.
Which there were no other movies other than the first.
There really shouldn't have been. Although I'm a fan of Endgame.
I like Endgame.
It ties the TV show with the movies together. Highlander 3, which is the Final Dimension. With Mario Van Peebles,
which was basically part 2A.
Yeah, it's part 2A because the actual Highlander 2, The Quickening, is so off the script. It's so off the initial storyline where even the Renegade version, which was basically their director's cut, which tried to save it, right the ship, didn't really work either, right? So the basic premise for those who lived under a rock and have never seen a Highlander a show
that's me.
That's Mila.
Hello.
So you have an immortal Scottish swordsman must confront the last of his immortal opponent, a murderously brutal barbarian who lusts for the fabled prize. So
Kurgan.
The Kurgan. So these immortals are almost like the Eternals. They've gone through time, and you don't really know exactly how long. Although when you get into the TV show, they give you a little bit more backstory about it.
They say it's about 400 years.
Well, he's been he's
around
been alive
400 years,
Yeah.
but the
'Cause he's
mortals
been-
have been around for thousands of
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Right.
So, you go back a lot further. So
wow.
basically, at some point in their life, a regular human being dies of a mortal wound, a gunshot, a stab, or something like that, and they awaken as an immortal. They come back to life.
Oh.
And they basically
Oh,
are
that's cool.
they're working
That's really cool.
towards this prize, which I believe you said was 2024. This quickening,
2024 was when the
quickening happens,
Coming.
where they're all kind of start to like magically
no.
drawn
No, you're
together.
talking
no,
about
no.
the gathering.
The gathering.
The Gathering.
So the gathering happened in '86.
in 86.
Yes,
Yeah.
the gathering happens. So the gathering is all the immortals coming together,
Right.
At some point to basically on New York. Oddly enough, they're kind of
Yeah.
like they kind of get drawn.
Because what the hell, why not?
Magically to like
The,
almost
the,
like they
far
have a
away
call
land.
in.
the quickening is what happens.
The quickening is when they cut somebody else's head off, and that's
Right.
when they
That
take
is
the other
the-
immortal's power. So let's say you have an immortal
If your
who's been
head
around
is
for hundreds of
separated
years,
from your
right?
body, then it's over.
He cuts off an immortal's
was
head who
Ramirez.
has taken like 100 heads. That one immortal gets the power of all the immortals that person has killed too.
Oh.
So by
Oh,
the time
wow.
the last one cuts off the last other guy's head, he's got everybody's power, including all the ones he's cut off, and then one that guy cut off too. He gets
And you're
everybody's
also
power.
So you're the
you're
only
also
one.
made privy to like the secrets of the universe. Essentially,
Yes,
is what
and
they
that's what the
intone.
prize is. Once
yeah.
you have
Oh,
all
wow.
the power, you have all this sort of knowledge.
knowledge.
And, yeah. But then you're,
seems
remember
pretty
correctly, you're
badass.
not immortal anymore. Like
Well,
you
no-
can then
I-
gauge.
But I don't remember. I think you are right. I think you're no longer more. But you like he went on to like help humanity or
Yes,
something like
exactly.
Right, because he had all the knowledge. So
He had all the
that's
knowledge.
that's where the original part 2 comes to be, right? And not the renegade version, right? And part 2, the quickening, they get sent away because they rebelled, blah blah blah. He's immortal. Once he becomes the only one, he has the option of staying on Earth and becoming old, or going back
Right.
to the
So
planet.
let's
So that's the problem with the
back up.
second one.
Yeah,
because
the second one.
it's-
Exactly.
They retcon
Sorry.
to be aliens from the planet Zeist,
Zeist.
who are like they're like trying to like they're trying to like overthrow the regime that's running the planet, and so that they find out and they said, okay, well you two fuckers are out of here, and they basically teleport them to their dumpster of Earth. Like this is our shit ground. We're gonna throw you.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
and
that
Earth
always
is their
happens.
dumping ground.
Earth is always the one where it's like, you've been exiled. Where am I going? Mars?
Yeah.
The middle of nowhere? It's like, nah, Earth.
And I know that we that was my fault. We jumped to the second one
No, that's
before
okay.
we even
all good.
continue with the first one.
Yeah.
But essentially it's just like, the prize is, you get to become mortal and you grow old, and that's kind of where you live your life. And
Right.
That's that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just disappointed that they were like, oh no, you're not this special immortal being on Earth anymore. You're an alien.
Right. Well, yeah. When they made the second one, but I like how they kind of explain him being young again, right? In part 2, because he has the prize, he gets old, and he's turning ancient. He's gonna die in like 3 weeks or whatever. But the guy that he pissed off, the guy that he rebelled against, General Katana, which I
Right.
find odd,
Yep.
which is played by Michael Ironside,
That's
who
right.
always plays a badass, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, he was great.
Which I love the fact.
He's born to play. He's got that dead eye look. You know what I mean?
He wants
He got the dead
this.
eyes.
He does.
He wants McLeod dead.
Yes.
Right? Like he wants him dead. So he's like, we're not gonna give him that choice. Go back down and you go kill him.
Right.
And they're like, they even said, they go, yeah, but he's gonna die in like a week. Like he's old. He goes, I don't care.
Yeah.
I want him dead.
Right.
Not realizing that the moment that they get on Earth, he actually starts turning immortal again, because
Right.
lo and behold, you're not the only one. You're not the last one on Earth anymore.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So
But so they retconned a whole bunch
They
of it.
retconned a whole
I'm
bunch of
so
shit.
disappointed.
But there was no reason to. Just,
Well,
you know
they
what I mean?
should have
Like,
made a second movie, right? It should have
Yeah.
been, because the first movie was literally tied up and delivered with a bow on it. Like
it was perfect.
they're born, the gathering happened, one of them won,
Yep.
and it's over, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So then they were like, oh, we made some money, we should do some more.
Right.
And it becomes a cash grab, and then they just shit all over the franchise.
Yeah, so if you're gonna make a second one, then how would we make a second one that doesn't shit all over everything? Because in a sense, the third one does that, right? The Mario Van Peebles one, like, oh, this guy was stuck in a cave, So you weren't really the last one because this guy's in a cave somewhere.
Yeah, but the quickening happened when he killed the last guy.
Right. That's it. It's like, how do you do that even though you tried and it didn't really work either? Not just that the movie sucked, but the premise of the movie sucked.
Well, you get the quickening every time you kill somebody.
You're right. I'm talking about the final. Right?
The gathering happened.
So once
you
the
got the
gathering
prize, and that only works if you are the last
only
one. But you weren't because there's another dude in the cave. Never mind the fact that now there's a series with another guy, another one of your clan who's younger than you, plus a shit ton of other immortals still going around. Like, you were not the last one.
Well, what they could have done in the TV show is they said it's happened before.
Right.
So, but if you watch, if you go to Endgame, because that was one of the things I always wanted to, like before Endgame, the series comes out, and I always wondered the same thing because I did watch the other ones, and I was like, but wait a minute, if he's there can only be one, there can be only one, there can be only one, he's the only one. How the fuck is there more of them?
Right.
Endgame, they let you know that the idea was to never have one, and that's why they always keep 5 of them locked away. Because it's like, okay, you know what? If you want to pseudo retire from just fighting
from the game, you want to get out of the game.
If you want to get out of the game, we're gonna put you at the monk, which is on holy ground, so nobody can come kill you.
Right.
And we're gonna put you into
In
this
theory.
deep which Mario Van Peebles actually fights on holy ground in part 3. But I know in the end game, they put him in there like forever sleep, so there will always be immortals. There will never be just one.
So the only thing at that point that you retconned out is the fact that he wins the prize, and he knows, and he thinks he won the prize.
Yeah.
I feel it. I can see everything. I understand everything.
Yeah, he literally said that.
Yeah,
He's like, I know
that is
I can
the
see
end,
everything.
like monologue at the end of the epilogue, basically at the last in that first movie.
Yeah.
He tells us what it feels like to have won the prize. So if you go back and you have all these people like, basically on ice, then he wouldn't have known what it felt like.
Right. I mean,
that's the only part that becomes a farce.
So we can all
I could buy
agree,
anything else except for that part.
We can all agree that the first movie wasn't well served by the rest. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
So, so that's obviously a dumpster fire. But that aside, I feel like we can talk about some of the cool stuff unrelated to that.
Yeah, there's plenty on the bone to talk about.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Because the first movie was great.
It was amazing.
There's so much about it.
Yeah.
I love the first movie.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
As being a martial artist,
Victor
I love
Kurgan.
the sword stuff. I love the sword play. I love the sword fighting. The different swords everybody uses. That was one of my favorite parts of the TV show as well. You know what I mean? I like.
Well, you saw that a lot in the TV show,
right? Because there's so many people from so many different walks of life.
Right, that was pretty cool.
You have a scimitar. You have broadswords. You have rapiers. I mean, you go the whole gamut because you can't just have the same one every time.
Right.
What were your favorite parts of the first movie? Obviously, because the other ones you don't really want to talk about.
I really liked Kurgan.
Yeah,
he was
Clancy Brown,
a super badass.
Yep.
Right. Just I like how initially when he was first introduced, he was like the leader of this. You're just like a raw, like I don't know, barbarian, and he never really changed. You see him morph into just like he was always like that raw guy. It was cool. I thought Sean Connery in there was really fun, but I thought it was a little. It didn't fit.
Odd.
It didn't fit for me. He walked in there. He was like, "I am Juan Ramirez," and he had a
Villalobos Ramirez.
Villalobos Ramirez, and I was like, "How does that fit with McLeod and Kurgan? Why was he? What was he doing in the Highlands? Right? All of that.
He
stuff.
felt him, that type of thing. Like he knew he was.
Yeah, but he said he's from Egypt. So
he's Egyptian, but
what brought you there? You know?
That was kind of weird. The characterization, the actor playing that character, and it was the 80s, so like they were not as sensitive about the fact
they did
that
not bother.
Did not give a shit. Because you had very white Caucasian people playing Asians. Like it did, it didn't matter at that point. It matters now, as it should. But so you had this guy playing an Egyptian, very Scottish actor playing an Egyptian. So and that's fine.
The Scottish guy plays Egyptian, and where's Christopher Lambert from?
I don't know.
Is he an English actor? He's
French, I think. He's French?
That was literally just a question, but assigned to Switzerland as results. So he's deaf. So basically, he's not
also
Scottish.
Deaf. No. He's mostly deaf.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So
they said they had problems. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry. This is what always threw me off. It's like, wait a minute. So you have the Scottish guy playing an Egyptian that's fighting for Spain, and then I always thought that Christopher Lambert was French playing the Scottish guy. Why couldn't you just make Sean Connery, the Scottish guy, actually be the Scottish guy? Mm-hmm. That's always blown my mind with that whole thing.
I don't think it would work because Sean Connery's character is supposed to be old and wise. Right. It wouldn't make sense to have Christopher Lambert come in there because he looks a lot younger than him.
Yeah.
So,
even though it's immortals and they don't age past what they when they die.
Some people are older than other people, right? But like, I think they had to do it that way. But they could have just picked another
I mean, you could have done something better with the
you couldn't have Luke
cast
training Obi-Wan. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense.
He doesn't look like he's older than him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I get
but
that.
They should have just made him Spanish, not Egyptian. Right? You could Sean Connery's look in the movie could have been a Spanish. They dressed him in a Spanish garb.
Absolutely.
And McLeod even said, he called them a Spanish peacock.
Yep.
On the boat.
Yep.
And so, just go with it. Just go with kind of what you're looking like. There's no need to have him have been Egyptian.
That never made any sense.
It
was a weird, like, we're going to put this in there for what?
He's basically, a conquistador. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, just the character for me, like, I don't know, kind of threw me off a little bit, but.
I always wanted to know more about him.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted more of his backstory.
Yeah, they didn't give us much or anything.
No.
Well, they brought him back in Quickening.
Right, but you got the bullshit backstory because it made no sense. It had no tie to the first one.
That pissed me off too, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's dead. They've alluded to that he's dead. Like,
right, but then he comes back and goes for a nice fitting. A new clothes fitting.
Yeah,
it's a new warm.
Because of the price of his earring. Cost, I was like,
one little like pearl type earring.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Gets him this major hand-tailored suit.
Doesn't make any sense.
No. I mean, just when they brought him back.
Kurgan killed him in the first one.
No. So he's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, he.
But to tie it in, you have to have Sean Connery back, right? It didn't make any sense.
Why do you have to have him back?
It's a sequel.
But again, he was the big name at the time too. Like he was
definitely bigger.
Absolutely. I mean, Sean. Listen, not Sean Connery was big at that time. Sean Connery has always been big.
Yeah.
Like, his name,
been bought.
Yeah, I mean, young Sean Connery, old Sean Connery.
He was at the peak of his career, is what I'm saying. Like he was the name.
Yeah.
He had already been affiliated with the first one. You gotta kind of.
You want to draw people back to this bullshit movie? You got to get the guy back in again.
You got to draw the bullshit back.
But he served no purpose, though.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
No, he really didn't.
So that's like, I understand him in the first one.
I'm even struggling to remember, other than the fact him coming back and be like, "Hey, it's you." Hey, you're young again.
Yeah,
like there was no like when he goes to lower the shield. Like, what was he doing? Like there was really not much for him to do.
Yeah, there was He ends up leaving again because he got killed again because he when they're at the Shield headquarters there and the big fan was coming down.
Yep.
He held that up, but it's like
he's a token sacrifice.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
But he did not. He was already dead.
Sacrifice in the movie. He didn't see. I don't think he saw that coming.
That's hilarious.
I don't think he saw that coming in his career.
I mean,
you know I was Bond, right?
Yeah.
Like, you idiots know who I am, right? Like you've seen my resume.
You're killing me again.
Again. You know I was Bond, right? I lasted through all those movies and didn't die.
But here he is in the Highlander, and he died twice. Uh-huh. All right. So, I mean, I don't know. Second one sucked.
There's a discussion with your manager. They want to bring you back. Great. They want to kill you again. No.
How much? How much? How much money?
Do I get to be the hero in this one? No, they're going to kill you again.
They're going to kill you again.
We'll bring you back to die again. Enjoy that. We loved watching you die the first time.
I don't know why. And then you have part 3
with Mako.
But to me, that was kind of cool because I felt that was like
real magic shit in the third one.
Oh yeah, they got
where the
super
head's
magic
talking.
Oh
the decapitated head is talking at him.
They leaned into all that.
Yeah, hardcore.
Right.
Excuse me, really.
And that was early '90s.
Yeah. Height of Mario Van Peebles' career.
Which
it was
as short as it was, right? But for me, I like that because it tells me kind of how he got his sword. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, because so like in part 1, he ends up taking Ramirez's sword, which is a samurai sword. So I never even that I was like, how does a Spanish guy have a samurai sword? But it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute, the guy who made it, he married his daughter. That's how he got his sword. because that's
Wait a minute.
Talking about Ramirez's sword?
Ramirez's sword
Yeah, with the white hilt.
with the white hilt.
Oh, wait,
right?
in the third movie, does he give it to Ramirez? Or does Highlander have it? Does Christopher Lambert get it from Mako? Who gets it from Mako?
Lambert's character.
Lambert's character gets it, but that's the second one that he made. So that guy, Mako, he originally made Ramirez's sword because he married his daughter. And as a dowry, he gave him the sword.
Okay.
So that's how we see Ramirez with the sword in the first one. Now, that first one goes to...
Highlander.
it goes to Highlander.
When Sean Connery dies in the first one, he takes his
He
sword.
takes it.
That's how he has it in the future, like in our time.
Yeah.
Right, but Mako makes him one, though.
Which one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, in the third one, he makes it for him.
He makes it. No, he's right. He makes the sword.
in part three, he makes
retconned
it.
He made that one.
But for Highlander, already got it from Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Oh, see, so they screwed it up.
That's right. They looped it into a weird
and that
retcon loop.
one broke, and then he made a new one.
He made his own.
He made his own katana.
So the
It was-
writers didn't really read or watch the first movie.
No, and remember that he got it from Sean Connery. That Sean Connery was using that sword.
Mm-hmm.
No, they forgot to read. They forgot to watch the old movie when they were making the new movie. And so yeah, that always bugged me because it was a weird loop that never made any sense. He should not have gotten that. Yeah, I know. You still look puzzled. No, you're right to be puzzled because I've always been puzzled on it. It wasn't. It's not even a puzzle. It's just shitty writing because they wanted to have the trope of him making his own sword. Like the blade busted. Right, it's shattered. So you had to have him take that block of metal and then go smith it into his own new blade. We're still using the old hilt.
Right, but the old hilt was the one that was given to him by Mako.
Yeah, by Mako in this movie, but Sean Connery in the first one.
That was given to him by Mako.
Nope. We never see him in any way give it to Mako to Lambert, or to Connery. He gives it to Lambert.
Yeah.
Because you're right.
Yeah,
He
so
marries
I'm sorry.
the daughter.
Yeah, so he gives it. So the Highlanders had.
Larry's head's gonna explode.
It is. So we had two swords,
see the
and
vein.
then
And you
the
hear a
second.
pop, ladies and gentlemen.
So wait,
You won't hear Larry after more of that.
what happened? But what happened to the first sword that he had, though?
Who? Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
He's stuck in the ground.
Right. That was the
Claymore.
McLeod.
The Claymores.
But didn't he kill? How did he kill the Kurgan? Didn't he kill it with the katana?
In the present,
With the
yes.
katana.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Sean Connery died, he took it.
Right.
And he uses his claymore
Claymore.
to bury his wife.
Right.
And that's what he uses the headstone essentially for his wife because she was a McLeod at that point.
Yep.
So he used it from then on. He used the samurai sword. He uses the
That's
katana
right.
all the way into the present, and he kills the Kurgan with it.
Okay. So now part 3, it's after he loses Connery because he mentions it. I lost my friend. I lost my wife, and I made my way to China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Kurgan's still alive. We know that. Because he's still alive, because he doesn't die until 1986.
Right.
And when Sean Connery goes into the cave, clearly it's right after the Kurgan kills Ramirez.
He gets
What
another
happened to
one.
that sword?
We don't. Bad writing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
that's bad writing.
so that's what I'm saying. So like he's got
bad
got
writing.
Ramirez's sword.
We're gonna give it to him again.
Mako makes him
We
his
got a fourth
sword.
movie coming. We can make another one.
We'll
Right?
give it to him one more time.
One more time. See if this one.
Although this
Right.
time I say you give him the Kurgan sword, which has got
That's
snapped together.
Yeah,
Put it all
piece-
together.
that would
Piece
work
it
really,
together.
really well.
Got those two little blades that pop up when you press the button.
Because that would work really well. A put together sword. That always works in fighting. You know how strong a sword has to be.
He's doing the montage practicing inside that little
hotel room? Before the
I
hooker
was like,
comes in?
No. Yeah, before the hooker comes in. Hi, I'm Candy.
Yes, you are. Of course you are.
Yeah, and that doesn't fall apart when you hit something?
No.
Oh, really?
Oh my god.
The moment you touch something, that thing would just fall apart in
You know,
pieces.
and as I talk about the Kurgan, it's and chase scenes and how much I love chase scenes.
Oh, yes.
Did
have
you
a
notice
chase
that in
scene.
all 3 movies there's always that same kind of
80s
car scene of them kind of going, all crazy
Yep.
driving? The Kurgan does it.
Yep.
Mario Van Peebles does it with his son.
Yep.
And the second one, The Quickening, Michael Ironside does it with the train. And it was the same thing. He was like, let's see how fast this thing can go. And the train goes like 600 miles an hour. I'm like, that doesn't happen.
Seems legit.
Yeah,
right.
doesn't derail at all.
It's like there's so many typical 80s movies, though. There's like, and I was saying this to you earlier, Bruno, it's like there's so many things that happen in this. It's like your mind, at least my mind, I'm looking
they
at it
threw
going,
everything with the sink at
there's
it.
no way, man. Like,
They threw everything at it.
They did.
and us as
We
viewers,
gotta make our money back from that first movie. We didn't make shit on it.
But even in the first one, though, they threw so much shit at. It's like they had a scene, and you're going, wait a minute. Even before you could digest that scene to figure out if it could happen or not, or like put some sort of realism in it, they were already moved on to the second one. It's like, wait, you didn't even explain what just happened there. How did you?
Hey, just run with it. Just run with it. It's the 80s. Just run with it.
But let's talk about the soundtrack, right?
Queen.
Just
yeah.
absolutely perfect
Nailed
soundtrack.
it.
Opening up with the Masters of the Universe, like just absolutely
That's how you open a movie.
perfect, right?
That's awesome.
Unreal.
Perfect. And I don't want to say this movie put Queen on the map. They're obviously huge, but like it brought it to the mainstream. I feel like.
Right, I would not know who Queen was if it wasn't for that movie.
So I think that's
That's when
what.
I first got turned on to Queen.
Right. So I think that.
But yeah, they had a career before this movie.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that this movie made. I don't know if it's so. It opened it up to other people like yourself that didn't know who Queen was, because Queen was already crushing it. But if you weren't into that kind of music, if you weren't
Right.
into that kind of rock and roll or whatever,
Yeah.
you would never know who they are.
Oh, we were kids. We were like, we didn't know anything about it.
Well, right. But I mean,
They were like, hey, next thing you know, we're banging our heads.
I know, right? Then we had like all the hair bands.
And that was the beginning. Yeah.
I was 10 when this came out. So.
Awesome when you first discover like music. You're like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, for me, you know, I had the luxury of being of living with my older uncles. So I knew who some of a lot of the '70s bands were. Like, I knew who Kiss was. I knew who Led Zeppelin was. I already knew who Queen was. So I mean, when I saw this video for the first time on VHS, yes, that's a box, Mila.
I had a lot of VHS tapes.
Could you
tapes
see my
growing up.
dad listen to
Don't you
Kiss?
worry. I had a VHS player. That was normal.
No. Little Frankie Valley,
I'll
maybe.
say, who's your
That's
father?
about
Was
it.
your father was just like Mario Puzo or somebody like that.
Yep.
I know. But yeah,
Claudio, whatever his name is, I have one of the albums. Very
When I
Italian.
was like 8, my mom bought me like a record player at the store because I was like, Mom, I want the record. She was like, yeah, music. That sounds great.
That's great.
And then she didn't know anything about music really. So she's like, oh, this record looks interesting. It's got 4 people with phone makeup on. She bought me the Kiss Alive 2 album.
no way.
As my
God.
first album.
That's an awesome album to
And
have.
so-
too. It
That's
really
I can't
is.
even
awesome.
imagine. She
How old were
watched-
you then?
I'm 7 or 8. I think.
No? 7-year-olds in a Kiss.
And she must have walked into the room with me like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, what did I get you?
What the
What
hell?
have you done?
This looks fun. Bunch of people with bushy hair and makeup. Sure, sounds like a
Of course, right.
plan.
They're all
Looks like
painted
a
up, that's
kid's
nice.
album to me.
Yeah.
They're all painted up funny, like
So
clowns.
this looks like fun.
It looks like
Yeah.
Well,
fun.
that's awesome.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, but
That
I mean, yeah,
opens doors.
the soundtrack to the Highlander was just awesome.
Yeah, and they
It's
carried it
so
through in the
good.
TV show.
Love a good
Yep.
soundtrack to move
You know.
to a movie.
Oh yeah.
So after the third movie
Yep,
is
I'm
when
done.
we get the TV show
Yes.
with Adrian Paul.
Yep.
Started off, you know, it's a low budget, shot in Canada. You can tell.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's
Really
supposed
scratchy,
to be Canada.
though, like,
yeah,
really-
really scratchy. You know, you get the whole
I thought he was a
introduction.
good casting for it.
I loved him in that show. Yeah, I really thought that was great casting. You know, not a known actor, you know, per se.
I think you're doing it justice by not casting someone famous.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because you got to grow that show. You know what I mean? It can't
Yeah.
just be about the main star. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
because then you make it. You know, like we said it before on casting. You know, you cast certain people. If you cast it in name, you make it more about the name than the
show
actual
itself.
show, and then it's
Right.
like
And the original movie, other than Sean Connery, I mean, Christopher Lambert had
He was
Tarzan.
essentially a nobody before
Yeah,
that.
he had Tarzan under his belt at that point, I believe.
Yeah, but still, it wasn't a high
Greystoke.
budget. Yeah.
I think he had Greystoke under his belt at that point. But that was about it. Like,
It would have
that's
been,
the
it
only
would have
thing
been
we
pretty
knew
cool to see Christopher Lambert in the TV show.
Well, he did 2 episodes. He came into 2 episodes. He was in the pilot, and he was in one more time after that.
oh yeah.
For the pilot, as silly as it was, he's fighting Richard Mull from Night Court. He's fighting.
Oh my God, that's right.
He's the main bad guy,
my
and he
God.
wears like the hockey type mask
Yeah.
because he doesn't want to get his face fucked up.
Yeah.
In the first one, he's the bad guy in the first one, who's like basically tormenting them and tormenting Tesla and everything like that.
Oh my God.
For that first one, yeah, if you remember, he has like the sword kind of like the Kurgan. He's kind of their
it's
version.
basically just like it's almost like a relaunch. I won't call it a reboot.
Right.
It was like a relaunch, and they said, well, you know what? Why don't we take these ideas that we had for the
Right,
first
and we're going to make it
movie?
a cousin. We're going to make it a distant cousin who's
Yeah.
like, whatever, 100 years younger or something like that. So same clan, different generation.
Yep.
But so the premise is the same. We can still call it Highlander because he comes from the Highlands of Scotland. But we're going to fight somebody who's kind of like the Kurgan light. Tall,
Yeah.
but not as crazy and whatever. He's wearing the mask, and he's got like this sword where out of the bottom of the hilt shoots. Remember, he hits him with like the arrow type thing
So
that shoots out of the bottom, and
So
it
bad.
hits him, and he falls, and it was so cheesy. And
But
the
it was so
swords in
good.
this one were like, and they do the sword, and I watched a lot of behind the scenes stuff. There's a lot of electricity coming from the swords when they're clanging
Lots.
together. Right?
Lots.
And they'd have like the wire run up the actor's coat and down the arm and attach to the sword. So when the swords would hit against each other, they'd spark like crazy.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was
Well, you-
really
well,
cheesy,
you
but
see
so
it.
much fun.
It's also pretty dangerous. Like that's
Yeah,
'cause
super
it's live- you're
dangerous.
Oh
talking
yeah,
about live
mad
electricity.
dangerous. Looks
Yeah.
cool though.
Yeah.
It's gotta look cool.
Yeah, that hurts. Getting shocked is not fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
So-
Speaking from the electrician at the
Yeah.
table.
You see that actually in the movies. Like in the first movie, not a lot of big type of electricity, like when the swords hit and stuff like that. Like even when they got the quickening kind of looked like really,
Cartoonish.
yeah, like it just didn't take
Well, it was
well.
86. I don't know if they were good
Right,
at that
right.
stuff yet.
Well, listen,
No,
they put
$16 million in the budget. Let's put it together.
Yeah, so I mean, like you see it as the movies go on, like you see like that get a little bit better, like with
Even the
those
show,
sparks.
the quickening gets better. As
Right.
the show progresses, yeah.
And that's what I was gonna get to. Is as it goes on, they had a couple more dollars to put into the budget, right? And they're like, all
Right.
right, why don't we make this look kind of cool?
A little bit better. Let's up
yeah.
the game on the quickening and with the electricity. The lightning coming down and hits him, and some pretty cool looking, some not so great ones, but some really cool looking quickenings in the show. Some pretty iconic ones. Some are like, whatever, they're fine. But then there's some that, like, when he's at the stadium, whatever it was, he's got both arms open and it's hitting the papers flying everywhere.
And, which is actually one of the intro shots that you
Right.
see. So that's always
yeah.
cool. I mean, yeah, it
Well,
was-
some decent guest stars in the show, not a ton, but some decent guest stars. You have a lot of rock ones, right?
Yeah.
You have who played Xavier St. Cloud from the Eurythmics.
yes.
He's on there.
Such an odd choice.
It is an odd choice, but then you had from what's his name from? Oh, see, I should have this on already. Who played his friend Fitzcairn? Remember Fitzcairn was from the Who. Roger Daltrey. Thank you.
Oh
Roger Daltrey
yes,
plays
yes.
Fitzcairn from the Who. That was really fun. He played on a bunch of episodes. He was a great, sidekick character to Adrian Paul. You had, so a lot of unknown actors. Stan Kirsch, rest in soul. He did die. He actually committed suicide, I believe, not a couple years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was tragic. 2020, actually, 51.
Oh my God. That's
I think
that's
I
so
want to say
young.
it was pills. I want to say it was pills. He was actually doing acting coaching. Like he had like a class and stuff like that he was running. He was like teaching acting to people. And very, very tragic. I remember when that happened, and it was everything going on, and it's like, oh shit. I remember
That's
Adrian
right.
Paul reaching out about it and talking about it online
right.
because they were so
Yep,
close.
yep,
They
yep.
worked together for all those seasons.
2 years.
Yeah. Jim Barnes, who played Joe Dawson. He was.
Yep.
That was interesting. They brought in the Watchers. So after season 1 or whatever, like they started hinting towards these group of people who have gone throughout time with them. They are not immortal, and they watch the immortals. They record. They don't interfere. They just record their history. So every immortal is assigned a watcher, and when that watcher dies, they sign a new one or whatever. Or if the immortal, and so these immortals throughout time, they always have to keep reinventing themselves, right? If you live in Woburn, Massachusetts, you got to age. The people around you are
Folks
going to
are
watch
about
you
to find out.
they're going to find out you're not aging. You know what I mean? So you have to basically like fake your own death or move or do whatever and inherit your shit to someone else who is you essentially. So that's how they played on that in the first movie. So that's what they do. That's how they continue on their their money and everything like that. And they continue on. They keep reinventing themselves. But there's always a watcher now, which I thought was an interesting choice. I thought that was a great way to put another storyline in there.
Yeah,
and they made
you
a lot
can,
of stories.
You can
out of
add
it.
those in there, and it enriches the story instead of just. I like that they're not immortal.
Yeah.
I I think when you start adding too much magic, which was what happened essentially in the second and third movies,
Right.
it's especially when the first movie didn't have any magic per se aside from just the quickening, right? And so they started out with this really basic premise: these guys are immortal, they're eternal, but that's it. We don't know anything more about that or why. And then there's this big contest. But then, like, as it goes on, you started throwing like aliens and magic and all this other stuff. And at that point, you're like, oh, the story is it just went places that took it out of the cool zone just into the
money grabbing zone, and they lose track of their own story.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons the original movie got such traction after a time was because of the story just being just super cool. Like, what young boy at any rate hasn't been like, I'm immortal, I'm just gonna beat everybody, and it's just like, it's kind of a, you just like, I'm a super strong whatever, like, it's just it fits really well within sort of the little boy fantasy, and so it's and then they just kind of trashed it.
And they definitely dumpster fired it after a while.
Well,
in the movie anyway.
Right, in the movie, I was saying, because like in the series, they keep true to that. Like, they didn't see magic.
Yeah, I like that.
Other than,
but they added these
we're
watchers.
still going on, and we're not with the watchers, but we're not like, we didn't get the prize.
Right.
And once you can suspend that, like, get over the fact that he didn't really win the prize, this series was phenomenal, right? Okay, I'm okay. Yeah. We have more immortals, because, in the movie, we saw him and the Kurgan and a couple of immortals. We don't get to meet a lot of them, so it's kind of a very small cast of immortals. Now we get to see so many
of them, right?
You know what I mean? And throughout history, right? You did a lot of, I know it's crazy, but a lot of flashbacks.
I was okay with
it was a lot.
I was okay with these flashbacks because it was like, because you want, like, in this way, you wanted those flashbacks. Because it's like, all right, well,
I know, Larry, every episode had a flashback on the end.
And I was okay with it.
At least one.
I liked it because, you got Duncan MacLeod, and it's like, all right, cool. And he knows this other guy, and they give each other the look. They got that feeling. It's like, there's a history behind it.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah,
and
400 years.
Right, and then they do that flashback. It's like, oh, shit, they were in the Civil War together, or...
all these flashbacks throughout history of his time in history.
Right, and I thought that was really, really cool.
And they did more than that, obviously, as they brought other characters on. You saw some of their history, right? When you had Amanda and, Elizabeth Grace, and she was older than him. So you got to see some of her shit before he was even born. And then you have Peter Wingfield, who played Mythos.
Yep.
And he's the oldest living immortal that they know of. He's over 5,000 years old. So you're talking like real ancient stuff, and he was part of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. You know what I mean? So like that was really cool. Like that was a great storyline. I love that storyline.
I missed that one.
Oh yeah, him and so like the other, like the head guy, like he became a problem. Like he wanted to bring it back. He's like, all right, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna rape and pillage and cross the land and do what we were doing before. And they're like, yeah, no, it doesn't work anymore. Like, calm down. And of course, Duncan's not gonna let that happen. So
no, of course not.
And that was kind of like a point where, like, at that point, Mythos had to kind of like pick a side.
Yeah.
You're like forced to be, this is the guy you ran with for thousands of years. You know what I mean? Now, or people that you know now. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a great introduction to Mythos' character, where he was pretending to be a watcher because he wanted out of the game. Like, he didn't want to fight anymore. He was tired of it. So he became a watcher. And he was just in research.
Yeah.
And he was researching Mythos. He was researching himself. He's like, all right, because nobody knew about it because he was so old.
Right.
He almost predated
That's
the
right.
Watchers, so people always want to know his history. And is he still alive? Nobody knew if he was alive or dead. You know what I mean? Then nobody realized it. So I was like, I'll research myself.
Yep.
Nobody can always throw people off the track. Yeah, no, I was this close. Almost caught him.
Super close.
Nope.
Almost
lost
there.
the trail. Sorry. I'll get back on it. I promise. So that was I loved his character.
Yeah, just the series itself was just really cool. Like, I'm just thinking about all the, we were talking about like the different swords and the different fighting styles too that lead to that, right? Like, you can't.
We saw so much. It was
right. It was, and that was a great part of it. And and as
119 episodes. So you got like you got a good from 92 to 98, so 6 years.
Feels like it went longer than that.
I think it was 7 seasons. So yeah, 6
I think
seasons.
you're right.
Syndication.
6 seasons. Well, yeah, syndication.
And that's what's insane. And I remember in the later years, what really got me with the whole sword play was, at this point I was getting into my martial arts, right? So I'm getting into it, I'm understanding and I'm respecting the different arts that are out there, and I'm watching these guys fight with different swords. and it's now clicking in my head like you can't fight the same way. Like if you have a rapier, you're not going to fight the same way that a guy with a katana is going to fight with, because it's
different style.
It's different style with different swords. I mean, you're into sword play, so like you get that.
Yeah.
So watching that, I was completely just so involved with this, and I think I started watching like more of the later ones, and then I caught up with then I went back to the beginning. I was like, I need to watch more of this.
Yeah.
So I caught up from the beginning, and it was just such a good, and it carried on so well, and just it was always forward moving. I don't ever really feel that there was those. This episode.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like there was too many
Not really
of those.
Yeah.
Like
I only feel like that in the last season. The last season was kind of.
It's getting a little long in the tooth.
It was getting long in the tooth.
Played the
there was an
story
episode where
out.
like he didn't even appear. Where Duncan didn't even appear. It was like some other people who were like just. It was
You mean like Book of Boba Fett?
yeah, it was kind of like a Boba Fett. Like he didn't even cameo like episode 5. He didn't even cameo in his own show. Like, it was just about 2 other immortals.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of weird. Like that's an episode I could skip. But then the last season kind of like it didn't. I wouldn't say it jumped the shark, but it was It's a Wonderful Life at the end. It was what if Duncan never existed, and Roger Daltrey, whose character had already died a long time ago, came back to him and like basically after he got knocked out or whatever, came back to him and like took him through these steps of what would happen to Richie if he didn't die, what would happen to Jim if he didn't, if he had never been born. Or
I think you got to. I don't know how you wrap up a story about immortals, right? I think without saying like, well, it finally culminates in 1986, and there's the one, and that's the end of it.
I think
like, they kind of went past that, so you have to. And I think this show, I don't remember the last season to be totally honest with you, but I think it will probably ran into the same issues that every long-running show runs into. Like you just run out of story to tell. Like you've explored so many different avenues.
Does he just take off on his houseboat?
Yeah, I mean, he's still he kind of just does.
He kind of just like
just sets off into the sun.
Nice seeing you.
And it's over. I'm going off into the sun.
I'm gonna go travel.
And we get him again back in Endgame, the movie. We bring him back in, which is a nice way to not wrap it up, because he had a couple movies after that, which were horrible. But Endgame was really the last decent one.
Yeah.
After that, but the show wrapped up. I would have liked to have seen more show. If they didn't do that whole "It's a Wonderful Life" segment, I would have liked to have seen more show. You know what I mean? I definitely
became
think
kind of formulaic.
it was definitely formulaic. It was 90s. Like all shows in the 90s were very formulaic. It was not like today. The writing in the 90s is not like when you started having like The Sopranos and Lost and all these shows.
Yeah, but even
like
those
blowing.
shows kind of ran out of.
Oh, sure. Every
Another
show will.
runway.
Look at the ending of Lost.
Yeah.
It was atrocious. But like every show will eventually come to that.
Lost is a tough one to gauge because they said they did not have any plans beyond like episode like 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, oh my God, the show actually did well. We got to write like seasons of it.
Yeah.
And then it just went sideways.
That last season, and then the ending was just atrocious. But they definitely jumped the shark in the last season. That last episode was just
They wrote everything right from the hip. There was no pre-planning for anything.
No, but I mean, even shows like Breaking Bad, there was maybe a somewhat of a line, but they were making it up season to season too. Like like I said, they were going to try to kill Jesse off in the first season, but then like, no shit, this works. Let's keep going with him. So they were still making it up as they went along. But then there was one of the strongest show endings of any show ever.
Yeah, that was really good.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, like
bullshit it out at the end.
But here's the thing, though. Like Bruno said, like how do you continue on a show of an immortal? Does he just keep going and fighting other immortals, cutting off their heads?
Yeah, you've already played out they all die and one of them survives in the movie.
Right.
So,
Right.
then,
So you don't do it in the TV show. You
can't
just
do
kind
that
of just
in
like
the TV show.
he
Yeah.
sets off into the sunset and he keeps doing what he's doing.
Right.
It's kind of the quantum leap aspect
Yeah.
of it, which they're planning on redoing, by the
I
way.
heard.
Or bringing back.
Are they going to bring Bakula back?
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Stockwell, unfortunately, just passed away, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're going to bring him. Supposedly he wants to do it again. They're going to find a way to bring him back and things like that. Because it did leave us on a hanger of like, he's still going, he's still jumping. It was kind of a letdown to the fans who like spent that,
they
4
should
years.
have brought him back home.
Yeah,
They
like
should
that
have-
4 years of trying to get this prick back home, like
Yeah.
this poor bastard, and like this god character, whatever it was supposed to be, was just like, hey, you make the decision. Yeah, you can go save Al and his marriage or whatever, and then but you're gonna keep leaping and it's gonna keep getting harder, or you can just go home.
So, but here's the thing, though. I feel that when they do things like that, they leave it open-ended just in case.
Just in case you want to start
20
it up
years
again.
later, you want to start it back up, and it's like,
But
shit,
you
back,
can
you know
do
what I'm
that.
saying?
But you can do that because you can just Gilligan's Island that shit. And like, hey, we got back on a boat. Fuck,
We did it again.
we did it again.
Will we
There'd be
ever
no way
learn?
I'd ever get near a boat again.
Well, that just sucked because I would never go for a walk with those guys.
We're going to Martha's Vineyard. Great, I'll swim. I'm not getting on the damn ferry. It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not going. You know what I mean? So yeah, but it's the same thing. Like the Highlander, you could restart it again. Quantum Leap, if he went home, there could have been a reason to bring him back. Oh, I gotta go save this shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we think we figured it out. We can jump for real the way we want to this time. Oh, nope, no, we can't.
No.
You know what I mean? Ah, shit.
Oh, we goofed it up again.
This time.
I don't know if I'd want to. I don't know if I'd want to jump into
Great.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to save the Harlem Globetrotters from disbanding. Awesome. I'm Curly. Great.
Great.
I can be Curly.
Good athletic abilities.
Yeah, that's right. So the show went through the first season, and you're right. Tessa, she dies at the end of the spoiler alert. She dies at the end of like the first season.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I forgot. Like I had to rewind. Like I rewatched it like one time. I forgot she was only in the first season.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you know her a lot. Like you've seen her a lot. Right? And it's like, no, you don't actually get to see her that much.
And
now, to be fair, the first season is 22 episodes.
And I think that's
So
why
we're used
that's
to like
another big part of it.
7-episode
That's a lot,
bullshit.
right.
I mean, that's another
This is
thing, right?
back
Like
in the day when they made 22
20,
episodes.
22, 24
and an
episodes.
hour-long show, too. I mean, you know, run times are like 49 minutes.
Something like that,
49 minutes with the commercials. But, like, you know what I mean? So
I mean that's why and that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, you know, for some reason I thought that Tessa came on later on, and nope, she was there right there.
She's in the beginning. I remember her being on the pilot. But I thought she died like mid-second season or end of second season. I forgot. There's not that much time with her.
Because that makes sense if you're talking about regular seasons now are 8 to 10 episodes, and then she died in 22 or something
These bastards
like that.
managed to get 49 minutes every episode.
I wonder how.
They were putting in some time.
Fucking Disney can't even handle
They worked hard.
40, let alone 49.
They can't even hit 8 for Boba Fett.
I know. Can't hit 8 episodes at 44, 50 minutes an episode.
Damn.
Yeah. So she dies in the first season, and at the end of the first season, and Richie becomes an immortal. And we knew that was going to happen, right? Because Adrian Paul and Christopher Lambert in the first one, Christopher Lambert was like, you have to watch him. Like, you need to watch him because he's got shit's going to happen. Like, you got to understand that, we're going to keep an eye on him. And there's a reason, not because he's just a little hoodlum, because he's going to become an immortal eventually. Like, they already knew. Which I didn't knew that was possible. Like, they could figure it out. Like we knew this guy. We sensed when he dies, he will be an immortal.
Well, I figured that because we kind of, I mean, how else did Ramirez get to the Highlands? Why,
he was already immortal at that point, but yeah.
Well, no, Ramirez was.
You're saying what drew him there.
Adrian, Christopher Lambert was an immortal at that point. He died in his village during the war, and that's when they ran him out. Remember, he's like tied to the yoke, and they ran him the fuck out of there. Because at that point, he was immortal.
But I think but him dying made him immortal.
Yeah, it's when you die of a mortal wound, you become an immortal.
So you're just saying,
why did Kurgan say, leave him for me? He must have already known as
well.
They
sense, and Ramirez, that's why Ramirez went to the Highlands, and he knew that, hey, there's an immortal there.
Yeah,
so
he knew.
that's why they knew that Richie, they could sense Richie was going to be one too. So
they got him, they knew he was going to be, and then he gets shot, and that was it. They both get shot, which was kind of weird. Like this whole episode with this, this guy, this immortal, kidnaps Tessa to draw Duncan into his house and play like cat and mouse with the the night vision goggles, and he saves her. She goes out to the car with Richie, who's waiting for her, and some random mugger comes up and shoots them out of nowhere, in this little uppity town, a little suburb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It looked like this dude comes up with his little grunge outfit on and shoots them. It was a little.
What's the point of that?
It was a little strange.
The point was
they didn't die. They didn't die by the guy who was the main villain in the whole, and then Duncan goes to save, kills him off because he killed Tessa and Richie. You know what I mean?
Right.
No, they make out alive. You're like, oh, that's nice. Bang, bang. Oh shit.
Yeah. No.
You're dead. You're dead.
But again, that was another thing too. It's I didn't realize that Richie became immortal in the first season. For some reason, I thought that he becomes immortal later on down the road. No.
First season. Because after that little death by the car, then it's you see Duncan basically closing up the shop, and then Richie walks at him, and that's when you first realize.
Yep.
Because they cut away after they're both Duncan comes out and they're both dead, and you don't realize it until you see Duncan locking up the shop and then tosses the keys to Richie as Richie walks at him from off screen.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, he's back. He must be immortal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when he goes to go live on his. Yeah, that's when
they go to Paris.
That's when they go to Paris.
Yeah, and they live on the barge.
And who's the woman in Paris?
So there's no woman essentially, right? They have, because he meets up. There's a bunch of different females throughout the series that he gets with. The next one is Anne, I believe. Lisa Howard plays Dr. Anne Lindsay.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So he meets with her and starts a relationship with her, and then off and off again with Elizabeth Grayson, who played Amanda. Because eventually the Lisa Howard story didn't really work. It just ultimately didn't work. She was a doctor.
These McLeods, man.
They have a type.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. So I mean, just a long list of great villains in this show, like some really fun ones.
I think you
Callous,
can do cool villains when
you
you've got
right,
and
reoccurring ones
for a long time.
Yeah. I like that there was Roland Gift, by the way, was Xavier St. Cloud from the Eurythmics, and then David Cobb played Callous, which was a great.
Yeah,
he kind of cut him. You know what I mean? He's like he was like an opera singer because he almost cut his head off, but he didn't. And he stopped him, so then he gets really pissy about it. So his only job is to, you know what I mean? So after the series.
Well, they did. Well, season 6 was essentially a setup for us to try to find a spin-off.
Right.
Into The Raven.
The Raven with Amanda.
And that's where you lose me.
Because it was Highlander the Raven, but without a Highlander per se. An Immortal.
Didn't work.
An Immortal is not a Highlander. Highlander
is somebody from Highlander from Scotland.
Right.
Right.
There happens to be a couple of them that are immortal.
But you're going to use the name because that's what's going to draw you in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know why I just stopped watching it, I guess, until the end game came out.
Was like hooking up with a cop. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of weird story. Like, it's just, and that's why it lasted like a season. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it died quickly.
It died, thank God. I had to put that one to bed really fast. We don't really need to talk about that useless thing.
Well, it's 22 episodes.
Well, sure, that's what they did back then.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's one season.
That's one season. See, see.
There it is.
They've conditioned us used to these short bullshit seasons.
No, look. It's like, oh no, that's an actual season.
That's an actual season like they used to, but they just don't. I mean, not much does that these days. Like even newer shows, like let's say a CW show, The Flash, they're not like 22 episodes anymore either.
They don't because they don't have to.
They don't have to. No, they don't.
Why would you spend twice the budget for a quote unquote season when you can get away with half of it and still people are accepted with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. They just don't get away with it. They don't have to do it anymore. And it's like super expensive. Not that it wasn't back then, but the quality of the show, not to say that The Flash is the highest quality show on the market, but there's a lot that goes into the special effects and what it costs to make one of those shows. So there's a lot into it.
So the sword work was really good in a bunch of it. I mean, the original movie, it wasn't as good. It was a little bit phoned in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I feel that like in the early 80s, whatever, right? They didn't put that much thought into it. It was just like, listen, we just need to bang around some swords. Yeah. That's just some real basic, chop, sweep, slice. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that a couple times.
Thrust.
Yeah, right? Thrust. It's like, let's make this look absolutely horrible.
From a swordwork perspective,
shuffle, there's fall, roll.
Stumble, crawl. Roll. There's a bunch of strikes that you just wouldn't really do. There's when Kurgan's he's got that giant, two-hander that he's swinging with one hand, kind of crossbody, reaching out, and he's smashing up against telephone poles as he's fighting him, and I'm like, you wouldn't really do that. Like,
but he's wicked strong.
Yeah,
wicked.
He's wicked, Mila. He's wicked strong.
Yeah, wicked strong.
But the TV show.
So, and you see the difference in that, right? And I remember, I think I was talking to you about this, an Endgame, which I thought was such an awesome movie.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about the Sahlberg, Donnie Yen's in that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Donnie Yen's actually trained Adrian Paul.
And there you go. Right?
And the work that
he's probably like, no, that's not how we do it.
Yeah, so, and he...
they definitely upped the game.
Well, he worked with them also throughout the series as well, because you could see the sword work in the series...
Get better.
With so much, I mean, as time goes on, and clearly as Adrian Paul feels a lot more comfortable with the sword, you could see him, and he gets really good with that thing. Yeah. But come to Endgame, like the fight scenes that they had... completely...
Much better.
Oh my, it was so much better.
Yeah.
The sword work...
What did you think about the ending to Endgame and how not the ending, but how he takes out Connor? And how Connor basically sacrifices himself because he knows that Duncan is the better of them.
Is the better of the two.
He needs to be the one that needs to move on and be the only one.
I was sad. I understood it was a passing of the torch. So
it was very Star Trek, Generations. Where Kirk has to die so Picard and his crew can take over the series.
I'm not happy with it. Because for me, Connor's the
yeah,
man.
this is the one you were introduced to. This one you knew from a kid. Yeah.
Connor's the man for me.
Yeah, but you know what though? Duncan was better.
But at the end of the day,
it's not about who's being better, right?
No, you're right.
They needed to beat the guy.
But I bet you, if by all rights, any of the older immortals should have been better fighters, just because they've literally had more time to practice.
You know
what? If they were practicing.
So that's a thing.
So let's pretend that there's, let's say they each spend an hour a week practicing, right? Then anybody who's older has had more time. So if you're doing good intentional practice, you're going to get better. You should be better.
You should be better.
So
but we train. We know that's not necessarily true.
Right. So
I got kids in my school have been doing it 4 years. I got kids have been doing it 2 that are just better.
Sure.
Because they put more into it. They're more dedicated. They train. They clearly train more.
Yep.
More viciously, more vigorously, more intensely. And there's some people that are just more naturally talented, right? Somebody could play soccer for 10 years and somebody who does it for 5 is better because they're just naturally better at sports.
Agreed.
More athletic, more.
Well, you're talking about the 2%ers. I'm talking about the average person, given all things, more practice should generally equal more talent, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, they're not all going to be older and better, but a lot of them should be. But that doesn't really matter because situation matters, right? So let's say you're the better swordsman, but you're backing away from a strike and you trip over something, and now you're on the ground and you dropped your sword and that guy kills you. That's it. You die because you had bad luck.
Tripped.
You tripped.
Bad luck,
right? And if it were me, I'd be like, "Are you kidding me?" Just as you stabbed me and just as you cut my head off. Yeah, is this really happening right now? So I'm not worried about who's better. Although you're right, Duncan was. What's his name? Yeah, Duncan's better. But
Duncan's better because at that point, even Christopher Lane, Connor had kind of like, all right, I'm done with this. He'd already given up once, remember?
Right.
In that movie, he was down in the vault, essentially. He's like, I want the fuck out of this. So he was out of it for a while, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just kind of laying about getting his long nails and long, hair.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like, he was kind of like, I'm bullshit. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
So the passion.
I didn't sign up for this.
I didn't sign up for this anymore. The passion was gone. The passion to keep the game going. The passion to be the one.
Was gone.
Because it was gone out of him, so the fire had basically
not only
gone out
that,
of him.
but
Connor and Duncan still had the fire in him.
Not only that, but from the series, Duncan fights a lot of people, man. Like he's gone
we don't know how many people
years.
Connor have fought through his hundreds of years, but you see more of Duncan's fights.
Right, but for me, I don't.
I'm agreeing that he's a better fighter.
Yeah. But I'm just kind of elaborating on that.
Oh yeah.
Let's go for a podcast if we elaborate.
I don't think Connor really spent that much time taking people out. Like he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that was like, not that he needed to go out hunting for it. But he doesn't strike me as the guy that's like always
He's a badass.
Yeah.
Well, and they also played Duncan as more of the righteous guy that goes out to right the wrongs because it's a TV show, right? So he has to kind of every episode. He's the A-team of that group. Like, we're going to go out there and I'm going to find out and take care of shit. Where Connor, Connor was like, I'll wait and people come to me. I'll take care of it. But I don't really get my shit involved in everybody else's things. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to bother with your business. That's your business.
Live and let die.
But, like, Duncan would actively, get into other people's business, or shit just found him more.
I think shit found him a lot
more. Him more. You know what I mean?
Because he was always like he had his friend there, the priest.
Yep.
That was immortal, but he decided, hey, I'm a priest. I'm going to live on the holy Darius. That's it. That's his buddy.
Darius, yeah.
And it's like, and he was wicked old too. And I remember people went after him, and that's how
Darius found him in the Civil War.
That's what it was.
The Revolutionary War, excuse me. Revolutionary War, excuse me.
But like they were very good friends.
He was a monk back then, and he felt it, and they were just like, yeah.
And
they're
people
like,
went looking for
like,
him,
is,
but because because Duncan was with him, in turn, now he's got to fight all these other people because he makes friends with all these other immortals, the good immortals, which was also another cool thing that I liked, is you had your good guys,
and your bad guys,
and you had your bad guys.
Yeah. You had your calluses and those guys who just wanted to, watch the world burn.
I mean, that's society, right? You get good people, bad people.
Yeah.
And whether they have a special ability or not doesn't really matter.
Right.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
I thought the show, the show hit on so many levels. I really liked it.
Yeah. So the first season I watched this show, I was working at Cambridge Soundworks and I got the chicken pox. And my boss at the time loved the show, and I hadn't really heard of the show. He dropped off the season 1. He had the box set of the videotapes.
Oh God, yeah.
And he's like, he dropped by my house and dropped by his wife. It was really sweet. She made me like
Here,
cookies.
watch this.
He's like, yeah. He knew I loved martial arts stuff, and we talked about the original Highlander movie. He's like, oh, you ever seen the show? I'm like, no, I haven't seen it yet. He's like, oh shit, you got to watch this. So like, he gave me, let me borrow his season 1 box set, and that's how I watched it. And then I was just hooked after that.
Nice.
And I had like all the tapes. I had all the tapes, and then of course those went out. And I now have all the DVDs. I have the entire DVD set. Although you can find it on like Tubi or whatever. Like,
Well,
it's out there.
it's on Amazon.
That's right. It's on Amazon. I've watched it on Amazon too.
Oh, is it Amazon or Hulu? I don't know. I've
No,
got it on
you're
one
right,
of my
it's Amazon.
lists.
I believe it's on Amazon.
Although you
I-
gotta watch it quick. Amazon drops shows all the time.
Yeah, the stuff comes on and off
Jesus,
real
this
quick.
is
I don't
True.
understand why they do that.
I don't know
Just
why.
leave it
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
weird. Like contracts, I know contracts run out and things like that, and they kind of shift it to another,
guess.
whatever. But
I know it's weird. Like they'll have like season 2 of something, but not 1 or 3. Or
Did you run out of space on the server? What happened?
I know.
Maybe you invest in a new one. You hook up another one in the chain there.
That's a you problem.
It's definitely a you problem.
That's not you problem. Stuff.
So yeah. Excuse me. So I don't know. The series was. I will go back and watch the series. I love the first movie, but I'll go back and watch the series over and over
yeah,
again.
the series is really
Not just
good.
because there's more meat on the bone, right? You have 6
No, if
seasons,
you're into
22
Highlander,
episodes.
you
That's a
watch
lot.
the first movie
It's on Hulu.
and the TV show.
And that's
where you stop.
That's really what you need to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you get more Duncan than you ever get of Connor. Because
Yeah.
it is 6 seasons of 22 episodes and 40 minutes an episode or more, 50 minutes an episode.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so screen time alone, you're getting more Duncan than Connor. So that you identify more with him as well because you get a lot more of his backstory and history and ins and outs. So no, I agree. And even the movies we get with Connor, 2 of them were bullshit. So
Still, Team Connor for me.
Team Connor for you.
That's fine. You can
old
be
school.
Team Connor all you want. That's
So let's talk about the sword. Which sword did you like better?
I mean, I really
both
like,
have the dragon head
I like
katanas, but they're
Ramirez.
different.
I like Ramirez's sword the most.
You like Connor's sword? I like Duncan's sword. I have Duncan. I have one. I have a replica of the Duncan
okay.
sword.
So there's
Really one of my sharpest swords. Really actually sharp.
actually 3 katanas that were made. You have the Ramirez one, which has more of the lion head on it.
The lion dragon that's
white
curved. It
Right.
curves off to the side.
Then there's the
The dragon head.
the dragon head, but it's all like bejeweled. I was just looking at this today. That's why.
The bejeweled one was never in the show. That was
Right,
one
but-
they made later on.
But that was part of it. If you look up like the Highlander swords,
Yeah.
that one comes up. And then
Yeah, that's a bullshit one.
that's look, I'm just telling you.
I'm just telling you what happened. I'm telling you what happened
You're
because I
bullshit.
have the original one. Like when they first ever reproduced that sword, it
It's
had
not
no
original, it's
jewel.
reproduced.
They reproduced the sword. There's no jewel in the hilt at all. And then they have to keep selling it. They go, we got another series. Then they started putting that stupid red jewel in the middle. But if the show, it's never in the show. That jewel is never in the show. The first one that they ever produced for it was the one that they shoot, the one that looked like the one in the show.
Right.
Then they're like, oh, we're gonna have this is the 2019 version. Let's put a red jewel in it. It was bullshit. It was like, why are you doing that? Just make more of the same one. They've done now. They started making
Merchandising.
It's merchandising.
It's all merch, yeah. I mean,
Highlander the flamethrower. The kids love this
kids
one.
love this.
And it's got a jewel in the handle. Like, why? We just needed the flamethrower. Who cares?
I like Duncan's because
Yeah, I'm a
I like
Duncan.
dragons,
Yeah.
and his had the dragon head on it.
Yeah.
So for me, that was my shit.
Yeah. I like the sleekness because it's longer. The nose comes straight out.
Yeah.
So from a practical using, not that either one are very practical, but the practical use of it, it makes more sense. It's a little bit easier to spin around, and the dragon quote lion head doesn't bounce off your wrist and stuff like that when you're spinning it.
Right.
It's a little weirder.
You talking about this one?
Yeah. With this. No, that's not it.
This is Connor's sword.
That's Connor's, but it's still not the accurate one. It's got a little bit more of a curve to it. And it's got a red scabbard as well.
So that's.
But again, that's one of those things where like, let's make the third version of it.
So you're talking about
takes
that
it
one
away.
right there.
Yes.
Which is originally Ramirez's sword.
Right.
So that's
Yeah, that's the one that I like.
So yeah, that's the original one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And then, what the?
Yeah. That's the original one. So there's a lot of history behind the swords because they keep, United Cutlery or whoever keeps reproducing the sword keeps changing little bits about it to sell another version.
Well, I think
I'm an OG. I like the original. I
Yeah.
like the original ones.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, I don't like when they do that. But yeah, I used to collect that stuff anyway. I have like a Kill Bill sword. I have like a few others.
I had a couple swords, and because
Had a
I've
blade
traveled
one.
so much, I actually lost. I had like 6 or 7 swords, but because I traveled, and I drove to Texas, So I brought my swords with me. I left my swords in Texas.
No.
Then I tried bringing them back, and then so I've had them at a couple of different places, and so
I've got
now I
about-
have no swords, and I'd
I've
love
got
to.
about 12 and hanging up in my house, and everybody that comes over is like, what is that?
Oh yeah, no, I.
You know you have kids here, right? Like
I know.
You know I have little kids in this room. In this
They're
place,
locked
right?
up. They're locked up.
Yeah, no, and at one time in my house in Cambridge, I had a one-bedroom apartment, and you'd walk into my living room, and on every frame of the door jambs, I had a sword hanging from it.
Yeah.
So people would
Nice.
walk in and like, what's wrong with them?
This is a lovely room of death.
I'm like, these are my swords. They're like, what, I had those swords over there, and I had that. I mean, they were all basically just, replica katanas, but they were all wicked cool. And then I had, I used to have a metal bow that you would screw into the middle.
Yeah.
The thing was heavy as all
Yeah,
hell.
it was metal, yeah.
And I had that hanging right up. And people were like, can I play with it? I'm like, no.
Nah, Jack,
Like, why? I was
no.
like, dude, because you're going to break yourself, break something in my
Yeah, I heard
house.
this shit. I have the Michonne sword from The Walking Dead.
Oh, nice.
See, that
So
one
that's
was,
a fun one.
I want to start.
it's
I
fun.
want to start collecting them again because
Do you
they're
ever
just
see-
cool looking.
So I watch a lot of Instagram reels and stuff like that, and I always think of you too, because I know you have all those swords and stuff like that. And there's one where it's like, and people re-record it doing different things, and they'll take like a little figure or a pop figure, and like, hey, we got a new one for the collection. Here you go, buddy. You're going on the shelf. I'm in severe credit card debt. Like, yeah, I know that. I know that feeling. I just bought more pop figures yesterday. Like, there you go. You're going on the shelf now, buddy. I'm in severe credit card debt.
There's a
I don't actually
meme
use
I
my credit
read.
card.
More?
Sure.
What do you buy? Like 5 every week?
Around, yeah.
There's a meme I read
I'm over 4
weeks
now. I'm
ago
over 4, by the way.
that said something
This is
like,
true.
my biggest fear is if after I die, my wife sells my sword collection for what I told her I paid for them.
That's right. Nowhere
I'm
near
not
what you
telling her
actually
the real
paid.
prices.
Sure, it's a $400 one. You said too.
Oh, it was $50.
Give her the,
$50.
give her
So
the,
she's
give her
like,
the white price.
have all 12 swords for $150.
I think that's what he paid for them.
Yeah.
And whoever
I
does
bought
is
that
like,
building 19 for $50 on that Sunday that we were there.
yeah.
much did that cost?
Whoever buys it, like they just see the dollar signs in their eyes, like cha-ching.
They're like, this is not
this
a
is
$50
awesome.
item.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way with the pop stuff. Like that's gonna go. My kids or somebody's gonna throw it all out. What is this, plastic? Just melt it down. Who gives a shit?
No, so what's
Kid's
going to
gonna use it for
happen
a
to your
chew toy.
stuff is he's going to get a little bit older. He's going to have friends over. They're going to start playing with them for figurines. And this,
Yeah,
it's
if
going to
they
be
get
mixed
into
in
the
with
man
his
cave.
toys. You're not going to know what's missing.
If they can get into the man cave, God bless them, because I'm gonna have a retinal goddamn scanner.
Yeah.
Did you just
So
say
it's like
he's not going to know what's missing?
Unless it- yes,
This is-
I will.
This
Yes,
is the
I will.
same guy that sat here with me and said, if you put a pile of toys in the middle, I could tell you what gun goes to what G.I. Joe character.
Yep.
Because that's what he does. There's nothing there.
It's the internet's really slow. I don't know what the internet's going on here.
I know. I was
Yeah,
just trying
I've
to.
had
I
issues
actually,
too.
It's the
I actually
Wi-Fi.
disconnected from your Wi-Fi. It's faster.
Yeah. So it's an app that has all the ones that I have. I have them all listed.
Oh, so you can track what you have.
Yeah, I can track what I have. Because
That's
that
cool.
happens when you're at 403
Yeah.
and you go to a store, you're like, I don't have that. Do I have this one? I don't know if I
Yeah.
have this one.
No, that's what
So
I mean.
often have to refer to the app.
403.
Yes, Mila, 403.
Last time I checked, it was below 300. No, I meant
No.
below 400. My bad, below
Yeah.
400.
Yeah,
that was
my
just-
bad.
that was-
Listen,
But
that was
I'm so
Tuesday.
glad to hear that
That was
you've
Tuesday.
broken 400.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Goals.
going
Congratulations.
400 was last
Hashtag
week.
goals.
Yeah. No, I just broke 400 yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate
You
that.
have spent
It was a
so
milestone.
much money on these
I'm in severe
stupid-looking,
credit card debt.
giant-headed looking plastic
I actually don't use credit
things.
cards for these at all. I don't use credit cards at all anymore. Yeah, if I don't have the cash, I don't buy them. So anyway, there you have it. All right, so Highlander, let's get to Endgame. We talked about that.
I liked Endgame.
You liked
a lot.
Endgame.
I liked it a lot. It was
I did
really
like
cool.
Endgame, other than the fact that I don't like the fact that Connor dies, that Connor bites it.
Yeah.
Because he is the OG. He's the original
He's the
one.
OG,
You
yeah.
remember?
It would have been
nice.
nice.
But I understand it. Why though?
Yeah, you have to do it. You have to at some point pass on the baton. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it's gonna be. Because then they made the rousing success the source. What a whole shitty dumpster fire that
never
was.
watched that.
Yeah, don't ever. That is an hour of whatever you'll never get back.
You'll never get those minutes back, and you'll be really mad about
and
it.
You will be mad, and you'll probably make a phone call. I want to like harass him.
Yeah, do not.
Just for making that
That
movie.
bad, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it was. Just
So I
shit.
just had it up here, and I mean, Adrian
It is
Paul was
shit.
in it. So
Yeah, no, it's Adrian Paul. So that's like we pass on the baton in Endgame, and we get to the source, which is just like well, how long was that movie? I get through it. It was. Let's see if I can find it here. I just had it up. Highlander Endgame. Nope, not a game. I want to see the source. Okay, so the source, 2007. So it's an hour and 26 minutes.
Oh my God!
What fucking movie? Like
That's
live
not a
action?
movie.
No, an hour and 26
that's-
movie. You don't get to an hour and 45. You're barely a movie.
We're talking about 90-minute movies or normal.
No,
No.
especially even then.
In the 80s and 90s.
No,
90s.
hour
This
and
is
45.
2007.
No, but
I'm just saying, in the
most
80s and
movies
90s,
are hour and
90 minute
45.
Well, all right, so you're talking about 105. But like
Yeah.
90-minute movies are super normal. At least in
Nowadays,
the 90s.
more
in the
so,
90s.
I don't know,
Oddly
because
enough.
Highlander, the original movie,
Yeah.
was like an hour and 45, hour 50.
That's fine. There are plenty that go
Yeah,
more
it's an hour
and
and
plenty that
56.
go less.
It's an hour and 56.
But you know what, though? Actually,
Sorry.
I do remember movies being short because when they started going back up to 2 hours.
Quickening was an hour
It,
and
was
30.
it became a thing, right? People were talking
That's
about
Yeah,
right,
it.
that's
Endgame was an
right.
hour and 27.
Okay, so
Final
yeah,
Dimension was an hour 39.
There you go. So we're right around
Yeah.
that. They're all right around
Hour
90.
and 26 minutes of
Yeah,
just.
I don't know. I think what it is if you say under an hour and a half, you're like, what the?
I mean, the
Anything
hour and a
under
half
an hour and 30.
feels short for
Super
sure.
short.
Even though it's by
but it
4
used to be
minutes.
the norm.
Yeah.
Even though it's 4 minutes, under an hour and a half, it still feels weird. Plus, you got credits, whatever.
I was gonna
but-
say, well, now you got like 6 minutes of credits too. So it's like, wait, what are you playing at? Like an hour 15?
But it's really just an hour and 24 minute or hour and 26 minute music video.
Yeah, it's
Like
terrible.
it's shot like a music video. There's a lot of quick cut scenes, a lot of like crazy, a lot of music in it. It's really weird. It's like the what would you call it? What do you call it? Not dystopian, like a basically like a Mad Max future. Like everything's gone to shit.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
got to go find out. This creature basically that's hunting everybody down is like the first immortal.
It's a good. I don't remember. It's a good example of like when you should have just said enough is enough. We're done, right? Like when you're dead, especially after Endgame, you're like, whew, we made it through. My God, we stumbled a little bit in the middle there, but we finally cleaned it up and we finished it up with Endgame, and we're okay. Like,
All right.
we
So
made it
here's
to
your
the end.
description.
And then this guy was like, no, we're gonna do
One
this
more,
again.
one more
One
turn
more.
of this. One more up at bat. All right, so the world has fallen into chaos. As he roams a crumbling city, Duncan MacLeod, the Highlander, remembers happier times before the love of his life left. Hopeless and alone, MacLeod finds his way to a band of immortal companions, including his mysterious friend Mythos, so he's back in it, and a mortal watcher, Joe Dawson. Together, this small group sets out on a quest to find the origin of the first immortal and the source of their immortality. So it's basically figuring out how this all became.
They're just trying to get back to Planet Zeist.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, teleporter, how the hell do we get back here?
Sounds to me like Backstory, the movie.
Yeah, it's really what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
it's backstory we didn't necessarily need.
Cash grab the
But
movie.
didn't Joe die?
When?
I don't.
No, in this series?
Yeah.
No, he never died in the series.
Okay.
He was at the end, and, they did that whole, It's a Wonderful Life, where he was like, remember, he was like, always crippled, but he didn't have legs. He
Yeah.
was in the wheelchair, and he was like down on his luck, and the Watchers like kicked him out, or he never became a Watcher. He never actually became a Watcher.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but no, he lasted the series. So
Okay.
did Peter Wingfield. But Richie died during the series. Remember that he cuts off Richie's head because he thinks he's the Arikhan or whatever, or he thinks like that. It was like a Indian curse, like idol thing. This like demon was possessing him essentially, and he was seeing his enemies in his friends. So like you saw,
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like
that's
he
right.
Richie came to him
Because
as,
I remember watching that episode, going, "Wow, they took this from Indiana Jones."
yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much what happened. He saw like Richie or whoever was the guy from the Four Horsemen. He was the remember the rogue watcher,
Yeah.
who was trying to kill off the immortals because he was like their crimes against nature and God or whatever. So he was a watcher that went rogue and was basically because he knew how to kill them. So he's using his well-connected money to capture immortals and then just cut off their heads.
Cut their heads, right?
You know what I mean? And it didn't matter because he could do it on holy ground. That's where they killed Darius in the church because they're not immortal, so they can kill you on holy ground. They don't give a shit. It's not part of their game.
Who's the person who's the Highlander brainchild of? Like who wrote?
No, it's not Peter. Peter Wyden. Wyden, I think his last name is. Hold on.
Everybody to the Google machines.
Everybody to the Google machines.
Gary Kilworth.
No, that wasn't the original person.
Highlander. Maybe not.
Gregory Wyden was a
Wrote
story
the
director.
original.
He
Gregory
wrote the story.
Wyden, yeah.
He's created the story.
Created by Gregory Wyden.
Yeah.
So this is a good example. Just the whole...
He created the characters in the world.
Yeah, but the whole Highlander experience from beginning to today is a good example of why like IP should remain with the original author. And then anytime you want to make a new extension to a movie or a continuation, that author puts it into within, you know, like he's like, okay, all right, you guys want to go again? All right, well, here's how it would develop further, right? So that then you don't get these disjointed, weirdo, retconned, oh, it was aliens, no, there wasn't aliens, it was magic, no, it wasn't magic. You know what, forget about all that, we're gonna have a TV show for 6 seasons that goes right back to the beginning. Like all of that was such a mess.
Right, so when you see the second movie, oh, this is where it happens. So Gregory Whiten is only credited as characters in The Quickening. So he has no writing credit. Brian Clemens wrote it, and so did William N. Panzer. And William Panzer is the guy who helped write the show. He was one of the creators of the TV show. So the story was in Peter Bellwood did the screenplay.
So Gregory Whiten must have sold the IP.
Yeah, he had nothing to do with it other than the fact that he had created the characters originally.
Yeah.
So he had nothing to do with it. Are you two okay?
What?
You're
I keep going. She's
shaking her head. Yeah.
No, because it was like
She does this to
it was
Tourette's.
here, and I was like trying to move.
Enjoy
the
your
wire
stroke.
off the table.
Yeah,
was
and
having a
even
stroke.
come the third movie, he's only on characters, and Brad Merman and again William Panzer did the writing.
So
Yeah.
they gave him the benefit of like, hey, you can still be involved.
Well,
but
because
they
he
didn't-
created the characters, so you always have to put him on there.
Okay.
They're his characters.
Yeah.
You have to. You know, that's just the way it works. But you know, at least by then, not always. It didn't always work like that. But yeah, so that but he was only character to a person, and that's it. But he worked on the first movie, and that's why that one was the way it was. Beyond that, he had
That's why
nothing
that
to do
one
with
was
it.
amazing.
Yeah, and that's why beyond that he had nothing to do with it. So
Let me just preface that by saying the story was excellent. The movie was bad, right? Like it wasn't. It was just shot in the 80s.
It was awesomely bad.
It was so good. Like
I
it
know.
was,
Yeah.
it was like the whole thing was a good story. It was just like you look at it now, you're like, wow, this is such a dated looking movie.
It really is, man. Because again,
But
like
if you
I
can
mean,
get past that, the story is a good one.
the story, I've always liked the story.
Yeah.
You know, it's the second one not so much, but I mean, I've always liked the story. It's just watching it now with today's eyes and not, 30 years ago eyes. It's just some of the things I'm like, how the people watch this and they bought it. They were like,
adults back then watched it and they were like, oh, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
Like I get why as kids we're like, this is great. It's like swords,
Yeah.
electricity,
fighting and
Adults
absolutely.
watched
immortality.
this and said, yeah, that worked. I went, wait,
Hookers
what?
hookers in the bedroom.
hookers in the bedroom.
Hookers in the hotel
Oh
room.
my god.
Okay, so,
Hi, I'm Candy. Yeah, sure are.
so speaking of hookers, though, how funny was
Of course.
it for me in part 3 when Mario Van Peebles goes, he's got the prostitute in the room and she goes, remember, no glove, no love? And he takes the condom, he looks at it, he's like, what? And he puts it in his mouth, starts chewing on
Yeah.
it. He's like, I don't even know what this is. And he spits it out.
Yeah.
Laughed my ass off when I first saw that.
But that's what I was like. Did we need that scene? Did we need that really?
We could have done without.
No, but
Probably
you know what?
could've done
Though, but
that.
that was, I think that was just their way of saying, here's a guy that's been stuck in a cave for 400 years.
Yeah.
Doesn't know anything.
Has no idea about anything, and we're just gonna throw him stuff. And
Yeah.
he's like, sure,
So
whatever.
that's the one you went with, huh? Condom. That's the way he's gonna.
That's the example.
That's what you're using.
Well, he was,
All right.
he was drooling over the blow-up doll in the window first.
Oh boy.
That was just another dumpster fire.
I mean that whole movie, right?
His sword was pretty cool. I actually had that sword at one point.
His sword was
His
pretty
black,
cool.
the black dragon one. Yeah, that was pretty badass. I had that at one point. I forget what happened to it, but
Sold it on the black market.
I probably did.
Sold it for pop figures.
For hookers and blow.
No, for pop
For
figures.
hookers and blow, there
For
you
pop
go.
figures. No, it's most likely pop figures. Everybody's shitting on me. I don't understand that.
You have now officially over 400 pop figures. That's why.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why we shit on
That
you.
is true. Yeah, but that's nothing. There are people that throw another zero at the end of that. I know people that.
Which
And
I'm
you're
sure.
well on your path. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
No, we actually discussed that. Like Amy and I discussed that. Like when we get the house, and I get my man cave, we're gonna build, a podcasting portion to the man cave down the basement, right? That's the idea anyway. And we'll put up the shelves on the wall for the pop figures. And at some point, there's only so much shelf space. So I'm gonna have to figure out how many it fits.
And you'll find
Are you
more
gonna get a
space.
cap, or are you just
Where?
gonna
Like,
put
build
where?
another
Are you gonna
Let's
buy
put it in my
like 3 more
kids' room.
storage spaces?
No, because
for it?
I have them in storage right now, and I'm really tired of them being in storage because I don't ever get to see them. Other than if I look at my app.
So
I
you're
don't
gonna
get
have
to see
like a
them.
cap or something?
At some point, we'll have to have a cap because there's only so many going to fit in the room. So let's say it's 300, right? That I can
Jesus,
fit on
just
the
make the
walls. I'll get rid of the
wallpaper,
I'll get rid of the rest.
So you don't know
I'll
this,
still have
but
them.
this is actually an intervention. We're here on
Yeah.
Amy's
Oh, good.
request.
This actually
glad we
is
spent
not
the last
longer.
hour and 20 minutes
This
talking
is
about
no
Highlander.
longer about Highlander.
We're moving this
actually,
over to your
like,
addiction
You need
to buying.
Stop buying so many damn pop figures all
Marco.
the time.
I buy pop figures.
Wait a minute.
Hi, Marco.
I love the fact that he's like, I'm gonna look at wall space. Let's say I can only put 300 on the wall. My man, how big is this wall that you're gonna put these fucking pop figures
They're
on?
small though.
I thought I had
they're-
a lot when I said I
He
had
keeps them in the
10.
box. So
I'm an
these
inbox
things-
Yeah.
collector.
Oh yeah.
I have them
Yes,
all
all
in
in
the
the
boxes. And the
boxes.
boxes are in protectors.
Pristine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're not small. Like,
They are small if you take them out of the box,
yeah,
but I don't.
Yeah.
But I haven't decided yet. Like
It's
at
like a
some
box.
point, I might and just keep the boxes in storage in case I want to sell it or whatever. But just take the figures out because they are pretty cool when you take them out of the box. They're actually pretty cool looking if you take them out.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that yet because they're in storage and I don't want to get them all fucked up. So I just keep them in that way in the box in
Just
protectors.
a thought. If you were to sell them all, you'd probably have a down payment for your home.
Yeah, the collection's worth about $8,000.
Okay.
Like
Point
that.
made.
Well, there's that.
I haven't spent
so,
that.
so you just said that out loud. Amy's gonna hear this.
No, she knows.
Oh,
This is an
she
intervention.
knows. She knows. She's seen the app. She knows.
She knows.
She
She's seen
knows.
the app.
Yeah, I've slowed down. I've slowed
She's
down.
seen the
too.
app.
Knows.
There's a link into it.
I've slowed down too, but yeah, it's about 8,800. But that's not what I paid for because like there's pops that I paid for and now have gone way up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they've gone way up in value
Right.
just since I
Right.
purchased them.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
1 or
So
2%, like big.
It's some.
3%.
You know what I mean? I paid $12 for one,
Now
and
it's worth like $13.50.
no, there's some.
Oh my God, that's
So
insane.
my most expensive. Does that go load out? You son of a bitch. Figure it out, will you? So my expensive pop, which I didn't pay, is worth $130, but I paid like $70 for it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely
I
worth.
thought you were gonna say you paid $7.
No, I wish.
that would
No,
be
no.
awesome.
I'd have
No,
been like,
I
all right,
wish.
man. All right.
That'd
Fist
be
bump.
right?
amazing.
No, I
There you
wish,
go.
but like some of the ones I purchased. But okay, so let's take the Fezzik, from Princess Bride. Him, I spent $15 on because I bought him when he was relatively new. It's now worth $110.
Damn.
Today,
I bought
Do you
him
have
when he was
plans on selling these when you figure they've hit their max value or something like that?
a lot of them. Yeah, definitely. Because again, I can't keep them all. There's no way I'm going to be able to
right.
put them all up on the wall. So they're gonna have to go.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because
and I'll take those.
there
and-
can be only one.
There could be no. There's gonna be more. I'll tell you right now. Tell you
Bring that right around. Right around.
Awesome.
No, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna retcon. There's gonna be a whole lot of fuckers running around.
Oh, damn it.
That's it. I'm gonna make a TV
He went
show
TV
out of
show.
them, and they're gonna be all over the damn place.
He went
There's
TV
only
show.
one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Oh, I
and
can't
two,
forget about
and
this
three.
one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This one's frocked.
Oh, there you go. Flocked.
Frocked.
Frogs.
Floaty.
Oh, my bad. Flocked.
Frock. Is it that an old lady pullover?
Yeah,
A frock?
yeah.
It makes this.
Or
not
it's the
that
guys who own the
far
Chinese
off.
food restaurant in the Christmas Story.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
They went there. I don't care. So yeah, there
Yeah.
it is.
Whenever he mentions a flocked pop figure, that's like a big thing.
It is.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
like that's it.
Yeah, they're pretty badass.
Either that or the shiny version.
The glitter
Sorry,
ones.
The
Amy, we
glitter
tried.
version.
Yeah, sorry, didn't
Sorry,
work.
Amy.
Nice try, Amy.
We did our best.
I saw that coming a mile down the road.
Damn it.
Yeah.
We tried.
We tried, but you
We could
failed.
just break into the store, just take them from
failed
them.
Just
miserably.
burn them all. No.
Failed
Melted plastic.
Failed miserably. It's okay. I got insurance on them.
Well, we don't want you to lose your investment.
No, I got insurance on them.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, then in that case,
Yeah.
I think
I
my
know a guy
insurance
that knows a
covers-
guy.
I got a guy.
knows a guy.
Yeah, of course you do. You're Italian. I got a guy.
I got a bunch of guys.
I got a guy.
in that case,
I'll
bunch
bring
of
the
guys.
part. You do the work. You do. It's not a body shop.
Look, it's an
I'll bring
arm's
somebody
length
who doesn't,
transaction. You don't know me. You don't know them.
Need a crown. Need a crown for my tooth. I'll bring the parts. You do the work. It's not a body shop. That's awesome. All right. So we have any more to add about Highlander? The show that they did a cartoon at one point,
They
which
did do
is
the cartoon.
really off the fucking map for that
Yeah.
one.
Better to burn out
Oh my
than to
god.
fade away. Yeah, with the tongue.
Oh my god.
Yes, he knows where.
Yeah, that movie was just classic for overacting.
so good.
That was another thing too, like
super overacted, and it was
Soup,
amazing.
oh my god! It was either like really shitty acting or really over the top.
Yeah.
Like the cops in the episode 1
Yes.
when they got him in the box, and that one guy that ends up becoming the lieutenant in
Yep.
part 3, which same guy, which is awesome. But he's like, they're all getting in the dude's face. I'm like, you guys suck.
Yeah.
How do the cops get, by the way, to the Madison Square Garden so fast?
Yeah.
Like they're in there, ching, 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 off of your head. He tosses his sword up on the lights.
Yeah.
And gets in his car, drives away, and there's like 15 cruisers there with guns
Were
drawn.
they already at the cops?
There might have been security. You're right. It's a good point. Might have been security at
around
the
the garden.
I can jump. I can.
We see a lot of that now. Since
But
9/11,
okay,
obviously, but
even if that was the
back
case,
then-
I could jump on that.
it's New York.
But what these guys were in the parking lot, the parking garage, whatever. Levels underground. Who the hell heard two guys going at it with
There was
swords?
a couple of clinking.
Clink, clink, clink,
There's a
clink, clink,
shit
clink.
ton of
Not even
noise in
like
a
a
parking
gunshot
garage
or
anyway.
anything.
Multiple
Well, there was
levels
like
down.
the
That's
quickening
pretty
that happened after
Plus
he died,
the-
the
plus the-
electric, and all that.
Oh yeah.
Still, I know. I think Larry's point still holds water
Yeah,
because
there's
you're
a lot
multiple levels
going on.
underground.
What's
There's
the
a-
option? We just show the
But don't
clip
forget-
of like 15 minutes of like no action, and then the police officers roll in. Like you got to be like, okay, eventually
you
they
could
get
almost
there.
say if one was like down there, like a security, and called it in.
Yeah.
But you don't see somebody kind of wandering around going, what the fuck's that? Oh, shit. And then goes and calls.
Wasn't there something like that where somebody was like, "There's two guys down here fighting with swords" or something like that?
Yeah, you might have been. I don't remember. I know
Not
that
in that one.
It's been a little bit since I saw it.
Yeah, it might have been not that one, but in another one. But no,
I
I
don't
know
know,
what you-
it
but I know what
just
you're
blew my
saying.
mind that there was like all those, like, it just happened so fast. I was like, this guy just killed him. He
Yeah.
tosses a sword, gets in his car, drives out, and there's 15
all right
cruisers
there.
already
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Guns drawn and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not how that happens, but
Garcia,
all right.
I asked for one backup. One backup. You bring the Rose Parade. You never called for backup before. We figured there was a riot. Who knows? Who knows? Talk to me.
I don't know.
I
was it the other
know.
guys?
It's because you made that reference before. I just don't remember. It's like cops,
the other
police.
guys?
No.
No, it's like
80s.
something related to police is the name.
Running
of it.
Scared.
Running
With Crystal
Scared.
Gregory Hines.
Yeah,
Good
With
where he
Jimmy
loses
Smits,
his pants.
when they lose their pants because Jimmy Smith
Yeah.
steals both their pants because one throws a pants, he misses them. He's like, "You did it on purpose." He's like, "Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I did." And he throws. See, that's not, okay. You always had a better arm than me, but I was always a better hitter, and you know that. And they
never
called it
watched
for
it.
backup, and they never called for backup. So they call in like the entire squad shows up outside,
Just to see
and they're
both of
only
them
wearing their like
pantless.
long johns because it's Chicago in the dead of winter, and they're only wearing their long johns. So he's like, "Garcia, I said one backup. You bring the Rose Parade." And the Garcia's cracking up because they're only in their long johns. Like, "You never called for backup before. We figured there was a riot." That was a classic 80 movie. If you haven't seen it, you have to see Running Scared. Joey Pants is in it.
Oh, really?
Joey
Yeah,
Pants.
Joey Pants is in it. He plays
he's-
Snake. He plays Snake. He's like, you know, the druggie. Like, he runs the drug and sells for Jimmy Smith. and
He's,
stuff like
for
that.
some reason,
And
he's
got, like, his-
sneakily in a lot of
lot of
movies.
shit.
Yes.
He's got like a
Yeah.
red painted red hair, like, you know, almost like, oh, not quite a mohawk or anything like that, but, you know, it's dyed red hair, right? So at one point, like, Billy Crystal's like, Gregory Hines, they're trying to basically get him to go with them and to snitch. And he has
Okay.
like a suitcase of money, and he's like, you know, in the projects or whatever, up on the third floor, there's a bunch of guys playing basketball. You know what I mean? In the projects, if you know what I'm saying. And they're like, "Listen, you are the neighborhood watch. There's a guy in here. He's got a suitcase full of cash. We need you to make sure there's nobody lurking around the area. You know, he's got a little shit cheese ball lock. You could pop it in there. People shoot him. You don't even know. So we do what you need to do as citizens just to keep him safe. You see him. The top of his head looks like a parakeet. You see him. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
gotta
He looks
watch
out the
this
window
now.
and he sees these guys. They're all like, just put the basketball down, like, "Let's go hang out over there." He's like, "Nope, I need to go with you." They're like, "No, we can't. You can't." He pops one of them. He punches them. Like, "Okay, now we can take you down," because he punched a cop. Great opening movie. Like, great to this. That I love that movie. And, like, my mother, love her to pieces. She doesn't have that natural, like, "Oh, I remember that movie." So whenever you ask her about, when she talks about movies, like, "You know that movie with the guy, you know, and the girl, and they fall in love. Remember that movie?" Remember what I'm talking about?
Like,
narrows
oh, yeah,
it
that
down.
one.
So the reality is, we found out over the years, there's only two movies she's talking about. It's either Running Scared or Dangerous Liaisons. Those are the only two members she can remember. So if it's the guy and the girl, it's Dangerous Liaisons. If it's the other guy with the cops, Billy Crystal, it's Running Scared. That's it.
The only two words
That's
she
the only
remembers.
one she
There
can
you go.
remember. So she's referencing a movie. It's one of the two. You have a 50-50 shot.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Well, now we know.
Yeah, now you know. Knowing's
What's
half the
that?
battle.
The other half is
Red
severe violence.
lasers and blue lasers. That's it. All right, awesome. Well, there's Highlander for you guys. Watch, like we said, watch the first movie, watch the series,
TV show, yeah.
watch the TV show, and leave the rest as it
That's
happened.
the dumpster fire that it was.
Endgame. You could if you've watched the series, watch Endgame.
Yeah.
you
Yep.
kind of get a little resolution on
Yep.
that. You watched the first one, so skip 2 and 3. Watch the series, watch Endgame, and call it a day. Don't
Yeah.
bother with the source unless you really like rock, music videos. In which case, then fine. But don't let it tie to anything that actually happened.
Fair enough.
And there it is. All right, Mila, thank you for being on the episode.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Even if I talked for a total of maybe 2
But wait a minute.
minutes.
Did you learn anything?
I learned that there's like magic or aliens, but it's also Scotland and also New York. And there's really cool swords.
That's a perfect
And
summary.
space, but also not space, but watchers too.
Perfect.
Yeah, the Watchers, yeah.
Immortal people that chop each other's heads off. I think that's great.
I love that you just summed
I
up
think
an
that's
hour and 30
fantastic.
minutes.
Nailed it.
Within 20 seconds, that was
She's like,
fantastic.
got it.
Let's give Mila a hand, please. Very
Thank
nice,
you,
Mila.
thank you. I'll be here all week. No,
Thank you.
probably just for the rest of today.
Just the rest of the day. One more episode we get to do if
Yeah.
everybody's up for it. All right, Larry, thank you.
Thank you.
And Bruno, of course.
Thank you.
We don't talk about Bruno, no.
All right, thank you,
That's
everybody.
amazing.
Isn't that awesome? I'm going to use this sound bank for something. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. As remember, always, we are Entertainment Rants. You can find us at entertainmentrants.com, online and on social media, Entertainment Rants, and on Twitter, Entertain Rants. And drop us a line at engageentertainmentrants.com. Let us know what you want us to rant about. We'll try to keep on topic, but we make no promises. Yes? Feel
fair.
free to leave us
I
an
won't
Apple
promise to
review.
that.
No, you can't promise anything.
I
That's
can't
fine.
argue there.
That's fine. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we will definitely read it on the show. All right, everybody? Hashtag Let's Rant.